Please welcome Paula Abdul. Welcome. It is so awesome to have you. Your switch is on the bottom of the mic.
Easy for you to say.
You got it.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me. I'm so thrilled to be here and honored to be here. It's my first one. So thank you for all the love and support for all the years. Truly. Should I sit? I am sitting. No, standing. Oh,
whatever you're comfortable with. We actually have high director's chairs if you would like one of those.
Yeah.
Mike, can you make that happen?
Thanks, Mike.
Okay. And while we're getting the chair ready, I have just a couple quick questions before we get into the audience.
Sure.
You can put it off to the side right here. This would be a good spot, right over here. Yes.
Oh, so you're
He's
choreographing me.
Speaking of choreographing, one of your first breaks was doing choreography for Janet Jackson and the Jacksons. How did that happen? And that had to be a bit intimidating.
It was very intimidating. I was a Laker girl and the head Laker girl at 17 years old, and it was my first season, and about 4 months into being the choreographer and one of the dancers, I got called up to the front office, and I thought, oh gosh, I'm in trouble. What did I do now? Oh no, one of the Laker girls might be dating. Oh no, that can't. I don't want to know anything. What am I going? And I was so scared to go upstairs, and I was told, sit down. You know, the Jacksons are season ticket holders. I go, yeah, I see them off to the left. You know, we used to sit on the floor. And they go, well, their choreographer fell ill, and they're about to announce a huge reunion tour called the Victory Tour with Michael Jackson. And they'd like to meet whoever choreographs the Laker girls. And I'm going, you didn't tell them I was the little one in the front, did you? They go, no, we'll leave it up to you to say that. I had no reel. I had nothing. I just had Laker girl routines on film. And I remember sitting in my white Jeep Cherokee. I was the last car to leave the Forum, and I was slapping my face going, what am I going to teach the Jacksons? And I'm like, I'm a fraud. It's the truth. It was crazy. And I just remember, if I can imagine it, then I can somehow fake it. And I'm just going to jump in the deep end and see what happens. And who would have ever thought that that would be the start of a career as a world choreographer? And that right from the Jacksons Victory Tour. And I got to be there, you know, working privately with Michael for 6 years. And that was incredible. And then I went straight on to work with Janet. And I stayed being a Laker girl throughout my entire professional career as a choreographer. And I had 4 Laker girl roommates in a 2-bedroom apartment. And I stayed being their roommate through all of this. And I'd come home and they'd line up and they'd say, George Michael's team called. They want you to meet at and next Laker girl. Aretha Franklin called. I go, no, she didn't. Yes, she did. No, she didn't. That's my sister Wendy. No, it's not your sister Wendy. And then next one, Luther Vandross and Duran Duran's called. And I would give them jobs. All the Laker girls, I got them their SAG card, their after card. And then I said, I have to hire other dancers too. And I stayed being a Laker girl and choreographer throughout my entire choreography career. And then I didn't tell anyone I was making an album. I stayed being a Laker girl, hid it from them that I was making an album, and I stayed being the choreographer through my second #1 single. I didn't want to lose my day job.
And that leads to the album. 6 hits on that record. How were those songs picked? I mean, they were just out of the park on a debut. How did that happen?
You wouldn't believe it if I told you.
Oh, please.
I was one of Sir Richard Branson's first 4 signings for Virgin Records America, and it was a studio apartment on Sunset and Doheny in Hollywood. There was only 1 employee. I'm not kidding. And they signed Roy Orbison, and God rest his soul, he passed away that year that he was signed, sold 1 million albums, and then they sold Steve Winwood with the caveat that I have to choreograph his first single for free. and he sold 1 million albums. They signed a group called the Cutting Crew, who sold 500,000 albums. And Paula Abdul. And we'll see. We'll just throw you up in the air and see if you stick anywhere. And I was given zero money to make my album, and I delivered it on time, on budget. And back then, there were no computers. So, like, if you had to record a song, just one song, you had to spend money on studio time, engineers. If you wanted at least a B-rated producer, that was at least $125 million for one song. Plus, the producers take back-end points. And if I had to make an album under $100,000 and I delivered on time, on budget, I went on to make Richard Branson over $300 million in the next year. So it was good ROI. I had good ROI karma.
Would you mind getting some questions from the audience?
Not at all.
All right, raise your hand. We'll come right out here. And thanks for doing this. I know you kind of jumped right.
I'm a little nervous. This is like...
You're good. You're doing great.
Thanks.
All right. Hello, Paula. Merry Christmas. Wonderful to have you with us.
Merry Christmas to you. What's your name?
My name is Andrew Gardia.
Nice to meet you, Andrew.
Nice to meet you too, Paula. I just want to say before I get to my question, you've always been my favorite American Idol judge, and I enjoyed all the seasons that you did on the show.
Thank you so much, Andrew. I appreciate that. I'd invite anyone to sit in my seat next to the guy who sat next to me. My whole left side of my brain is permanently damaged, and it has a British accent.
All right. Thank you. All right. So the biggest question I've always wanted to ask you is, what moments do you look back on in both your life and career as the moments that you're the most proud of, along with your favorite parts about being on American Idol?
Okay. Getting to the first question, what are some of my most proud moments? I think this is a through line for me. It's just being able to connect with people, like have a heart connection. That's truly my brand is my heart. And since I was a young toddler, my mom would stick me in the grocery carts during marketing, grocery shopping, and I'd be out there like this to everyone who walked through on the aisle. To the point where my mom said, you can't expect to hug everyone. Not everyone wants a hug from you. But I didn't listen to her. I think my heart connection to people is extremely, I'm very blessed and grateful for and proud of. And I think that I've stayed true to who I am as a little girl, who I am as a woman today. So I think, awards are wonderful. Accolades are incredible. I think just the mere fact that you guys are here today to even meet me is what makes me most proud. Thank you. And as far as my most proud American Idol moment or my favorite moment, definitely not him. But being able to really mentor these young, incredible gems of talent, and to be proud that, like, while I was on the show, we were able to discover and help them take flight to become world-class entertainers and sell platinum albums and get Oscars and Tonys and Emmys, and it's incredible. I mean, I'm like a proud mom, and I've literally made it my goal to see, when I was actively as a judge, I would go see their very first. I'd say, your very first, don't ever take them for granted, write them down, honor them, because there's nothing like it. Your first time you hear your song on the radio, the first time someone comes to ask you for an autograph and you literally turn around going, who? The first concert. So I've been there, and I've been to their firsts, and it's just, I'm a proud second mom, third mom, fourth mom to them.
Let's head over to this side of the room over here. We have a question right here.
Hi.
Wait, where are you?
Over here.
Oh,
yeah, right here.
I thought you directed me to go look over there.
No,
I'm like a fool.
No, getting your attention this way.
Hi.
Hi, I was curious. I know you're friends with Shaquille O'Neal. Curious, how did you... On Kimmel, he confesses that he bought a house literally to live near you How did you feel about that?
It was little doo 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 doo. Yeah, see, Shaquille is such a character. He is exactly as he's a little kid in a big man suit. He is. I was really. We were both represented by the same business manager, and still are. And how it all started was my business manager called me and said, "Hey, there's this kid that's being recruited to LSU, and I already want him as a client, and I'm going to ask him if he'll be a client with his father." And he said the first thing that Shaquille said, "Who are your other clients?" And he said, "Kenny G." And he said, "Nah." "Rod Stewart?" "Nah." "Paula Abdul?" "Paula Abdul. Can you get her to come to a game?" So I did a big favor to my business manager, and I went out to LSU, and I went to a game, and he signed to my business manager, and we became really good friends. And then he moved literally across the street from me in a cul-de-sac. And honest to God, he had a big turtle that would always get out, cross the street, and come to my backyard. And whenever Lucille, his mom, would come to visit, he would get in so much trouble, and I'd see Lucille with her house coat, with the shower cap on, chasing him down the street with a frying pan. Truth be told, it's the truth. It was great having him across the street, except for on his annual New Year's Eve party. I didn't want to go, and he came barging into my house. I was in my pajamas. He picked me up over his shoulder, makes me go to his party. Everyone's dressed to the nines, and I'm in my pajamas. But I know what happens when the clock strikes 12, and I hid immediately under the table. Because what he does, and he had a pink pinstripe suit on, a three-piece. It was magenta and light blue pinstripe. And he had a derby hat on in magenta pink. And when the clock struck 12, what he does is he drops his pants and moons everybody, and moons them on their head, okay? So I knew to take cover. Truth be told. Okay.
It's got to be hard following that. Got two questions right here. Wow.
I know. Wow.
Paula, did you ever work on a song that did not become as big of a hit as you thought it would?
Plenty. Plenty of songs. They're called B-sides. Hi.
I grew up listening to you, and now my daughters, who are 5 and 7, we all dance around the living room and dance to your music.
Thank you.
Can you talk about Promise of a New Day and making that video? That's a beautiful video. It doesn't get a...
Oh, that was a song that I'm really proud of co-writing, and it was very special to me. It was during a time where a lot of political messes going on, a lot of changes going on, people going through their own struggle and strife, and I wanted to write a song that gave people hope, that was universal. And I loved working with the family Stand, who produced and co-wrote with me. That song was one of my favorites. The video, get a load of this. What is my luck? We're going to film it in Hawaii, Paula. Fantastic. I'm so excited. And I got really sick. So what does the crew do? They fly to Hawaii and shoot all of the backdrops in Hawaii. And then I was stuck on a soundstage in a big, large pool. That's movie magic, video magic.
Question right down the middle.
All right. Straight up now, tell me, Paula.
Do you have a favorite person that you worked with for choreography, and someone who you were really concerned was not going to be able to dance but surprised you with their ability?
Oh, wow. Well, first of all, I think my most favorite mentor, as many of you may or may not know, is Gene Kelly. And so he, for me, when I got to honor him, I was taught by my parents to, walk in the path of gratitude. Pay it forward to the pioneers, the people that inspired you. And it wasn't until I had my Forever Your Girl album, I had already 6 singles out, and it was fear of oversaturation at radio. But I quietly, I knew I wanted to create an animated cat, because Gene Kelly danced with a mouse, and the song Opposites Attract lent itself to a duet. So it was really important for me to give him a gift. And I know the record label, Virgin, was like, no, you cannot have another single out. And I said, no, I just want to pay homage and do a cute video and give it to him as a gift. I think being able to work with Gene Kelly, after I delivered the pencil sketch test, they invested to be my partners, and we created that video. And it was then that Virgin decided to release a 7th single. And that immediately I gave it as a gift to Gene Kelly, and I got to work with him. For me, that was a dream come true, and I was living proof that miracles can happen when you walk in gratitude. And I think that working with him gave me such a profound, deep respect for what a pioneer he was. He was the first person that actually used a camera as a choreographic tool, and that he worked the camera, choreographed the camera to choreograph the dance. And I learned so much from him. As far as me choreographing other people, I was gifted the experience of working with Dan Aykroyd and Tom Hanks it was back when it was Comic Relief, and they were doing a Dragnet video, and I had no idea what I was going what to expect or what I was going to be dealing with. And I ended up falling in love working with comedians because they're willing to go for it no matter what, at any expense, even if the laugh is on them moving. I had so much fun working with them. And yeah, they ended up being some of my prize students, Dan Aykroyd and Tom Hanks.
Nice. Keep going down the middle with a few more questions.
Sure.
Hi, thanks for coming out. My question is kind of along the same lines, but what was one of your favorite pieces to choreograph?
Of my own or of anyone else's?
Of any that you've done.
Well, I have, excuse me, people ask me, what's your favorite artist you worked with? Who's your favorite American Idol? That's like Sophie's Choice questions. I can't, how do you do that? They're special for different reasons. I think for me, the beginning of my career was always so, like, I would pinch myself, and I think the fact that I got 4 minutes uninterrupted of footage in a feature film called Coming to America, choreographing that, I probably was most proud of, because I was in my my first or second season of being a Laker girl, and that was magical for me.
Okay. Another one?
Paula.
Hi.
Okay, so this is going along the choreograph in movies. So I've always noticed that your name pops up as the choreographer for Can't Buy Me Love. So I wanted to know exactly. So what was the thought behind creating
that was the prequel to Coming to America, okay?
Right. So I wanted to know what was the thought behind choreographing the African anteater ritual.
Well, it's funny if you really think about it. It's the same. In many ways, I say it's the prequel to Coming to America. No one knew I choreographed the African Anteater dance. That was my first film, like I did right out of high school. And it was crazy. The fact that, again, no computers, and think about Coming to America, no computers. So I would go into the library to look at periodicals. That's how I would have to do my choreography. So with Can't Buy Me Love, it was easy. Just look on National Geographic, PBS and National Geographic. So I just made, and it was supposed to be campy and fun, and I just started doing. See, this is the crazy thing. I can't remember new choreography or anything I choreographed, but I remember every Laker girl and the Anteater dance. But it was ba-dum bum bum ba-dum bum bum. Okay.
Thank you. Right. Excellent. Right down the middle again, please.
Hello.
Hi, Paula. So my favorite thing in the entire universe are your 3 Diet Coke commercials, truly. And I have never gotten a chance to ask you just any stories about working with Elton John or Gene Kelly, or like working with the digital. And just what was that like, and how did that opportunity come about?
Well, I remember watching Elton John's first video and seeing all these amazing, iconic people being placed into today's photography with the artist. That to me was like that technology was incredible. And when I got asked to do a Diet Coke commercial, I'm going, oh my God, are there going to be other people popping in. No, Paul, you're going to be doing it with Elton John. I go, that's enough. But that started the success of that. And Elton ended up becoming a good friend of mine and lovely, funny. We shut down Magic Mountain in Valencia, and he insisted on doing a photo session of Modern Bride where he's the bride and I'm the groom. I'll never forget that. But after that is when I gave the gift of Opposites Attract and created Scat Cat and gave it to Gene Kelly. And the day that I actually was invited over to his house for tea, it was like literally 3 days after I gave him the video as a gift, he invited me over for tea in Beverly Hills. And I remember arriving at his house. It was in the dead heat of summer. It was over 106 degrees. And I arrived at his house like 45 minutes early. And I kept driving around the block until I pulled over on the side like 10 houses up, and all of a sudden I heard on the back, bam, bam, and it's Gene Kelly hitting my trunk going, Abdul, I've seen you go back around and around. Just come in. And I'm like, oh my God. And it was as if I knew him my whole life. I mean, I was like shell-shocked. I couldn't speak. Really, I was like so beside myself. But that day that I was with him, I said, I always say that I was born in the wrong era because all I've ever wanted to do is dance with you, be in an MGM musical. Oh my God. And I said, it's weird. I have this Diet Coke campaign with Elton and it's really successful. And I just have this feeling that they're going to ask me to do another commercial and it's probably going to be dance. And I hope I get to somehow, how they put the icons in there. Maybe we can dance together. And that night, I had the old-fashioned pagers. He left a message on my phone, Gene Kelly, saying, "Are you a Wiccan?" I didn't even know what a Wiccan was. And I'm going, "Mom, what is that?" She goes, "He's asking if you're a witch." And I'm going, he goes, "I swear to God, not even 2 hours after you left, I got a call from Coca-Cola asking if I would give up the rights, the licensing rights of Anchors Away, and they'd take Frank Sinatra out and place you in." And I'm telling you, miracle of all miracles.
Let's head to the far side of the stage for a couple questions.
Okay.
Far side. Then we're going to bounce back over here later.
What is your favorite and least favorite album that you've created and why?
That's a great question. I'm one of those artists who don't like listening to their songs. Which is, I will listen to them in the process of making an album. But after that, I only want to do it live on stage. So I'm very critical of my own self. I think that's been a dual-edged sword for me. It's been the greatest of times because I try to I'm a perfectionist, but I know there is no such thing as perfection. So I can honestly say most of my albums I thought, but thank God all of you thought different. And I love you all for that reason alone.
We'll bounce to this side, and this young lady has a question.
I was wondering how you danced with MC Scat Cat on the music video Opposites Attract.
Well, way before you were even a thought in your mom and dad's life. Maybe like way before all of this modern technology. Scat Cat was created by lots of different animators from Disney, from Warner Brothers, from all different companies that worked and moonlit. They were moonlighting, meaning that they would leave their jobs at Disney and then they'd come and work on Scat Cat. And it was painstakingly, they'd have to paint cell by cell. Took forever. So everything that I was reacting to nothing, but I knew what I was doing. So if I had to choke someone, I just thought of someone I'm going to meet in my future who's British and just strangle them, okay? But now, today, guess what? Now you can put little patches on your body and that triggers the animation and it's in real time. So if I'm hooked up to different like little modes, little modes that they stick on you, I can create the animation in real time. If I move my arm, the animation moves its arm. But back then, it took over 3.5 months to create opposites attract. So I had to do it like very creatively. And at the same time, they were making a movie called Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And it just so happened that we came out relatively around the same time. So I hope I answered your question.
Yeah.
It was way, way, way long ago.
Yeah. And let's stay on this side of the room for another question.
Hey, Paula. You're my American Idol. So
thank you, sweetheart.
You're the reason why I went to performing arts school.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I went to San Diego Performing Arts.
Great.
And because of the video "Nasty" with Janet Jackson, all of our friends, my friends, did the choreo. We tried to, but
Isn't that funny? The snake will go down in history. When I am this big, in my 80s, I'm going to go, yeah, I choreographed the snake. But anyways, go on.
And I know you always said that you had back issues, So how is it, you had a long career. How is it that you were able to control that? And just one more thing, Spellbound's my favorite album ever.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Thank
But
you.
I just want to know how you were able to control that.
You're asking a question that has been an ongoing issue, no longer, thank God. But being a dancer, doing things that I'm not supposed to be doing with my body, trying to always up the ante. I had lots of injuries, tons of injuries. Before, when I was working with Janet Jackson, I endured a really bad car accident, and that kind of started neck and back trouble. But I was really mindful of, also I was born 3 months premature. Let's just face it, I had terrible, terrible hip dysplasia. For a dancer, you need to have what's called turnout. I was turned in. I had a mass for lungs and a broken windpipe. So I was fainted. I was a fainting goat the first 3 years of my life before there were fainting goats. Anytime, what does a baby do when they wake up? They cry. What happens when a baby cries? They wrinkle their face and they go, and I'd be fainted. So it was my older sister, unbeknownst to her, who was mad because she couldn't play with her sister, who's 7 years younger. My sister was 7. She was irritated that she couldn't play with me, and just on her own, she would sneak into my bedroom and provoke me to wake up. And before I could make that face to go, she would go, and tickle me. And I'd be, which is an exhale. And the doctor said, your sister is the one who taught you not to cry. So much so that I'd be spanked by my parents, I wouldn't cry. I'd laugh. If I got in trouble in kindergarten and first grade and second grade, I'd laugh. And that's the truth. So I was born with kind of like a little bit of a struggle there. I didn't have all and isn't it weird that with broken windpipe, a mass for lungs, hip dysplasia, I became a dancer, choreographer, and a singer. It's just you never know what life is, and that's why if you follow your passion, I was really grateful at a very young age to know that I can go outside of my disabilities and be passionate about something and make something happen.
Awesome. We got time for about 3 more questions. You're going to be headed back to your table, or you're going to lunch? I know you have a busy day.
My lunch card's wide open.
Okay, good. Well, needless to say, let's get to the next question.
Paula, as being a fan of yours from way, way ago, we appreciate all your music. I loved watching you in American Idol. What does the future hold for Paula Abdul?
Wow. I feel like I've only scratched the surface, to be honest with you. I was sidelined at the height of my music career. I was in a plane crash. People go, no, you weren't. It's not written. Well, guys, calm down. Yes, I was. And it was prior to paparazzi. It was called tabloid reporting, and I was able to control it. But I was on a plane, a 7-seater, on my Spellbound tour. I had a handful of dates left. I was leaving St. Louis to go to Denver, a half hour into the air. I was climbing over luggage, using the restroom. I never made it back to my seat or was able to buckle myself up. A big boom and an illumination of light. One of the wings caught on fire. The right wing caught on fire. And we plummeted, and I hit my head on the top of the plane. And when I came to, we were crash landing. We were doing an emergency crash landing on half of an engine. And that was the start of me having tremendous spinal cord issues. And I went through 15 cervical spinal cord surgeries all through the front of my neck. I disappeared from the music scene. I disappeared from the entertainment business. I was dropped by everybody. My record label, when I was the biggest selling artist, I was the biggest selling pop artist at the time, catalog selling artist, biggest tour. I was dropped by my management, my agency, everyone. And for the next 7.5 years, I went around the world, and it was the beginning of what was called stem cell research. And I would try to get into trials, and I went around the world, and I had many, many surgeries, and I showed up 7 years and 3 months later on American Idol.
Wow.
Yep, and there were 6 other people on the plane who can testify that they were in the same plane crash, too. I mean, people go, no, if she talks about a plane, there's no record that there's a plane crash. Well, back then, you could silence people by paying them money and having them sign a contract. I was afraid to let anyone know that I was damaged goods for fear that, I didn't want to lose my career. There you go.
Let's do 2 more questions.
Yeah, let's end on a high note.
Yeah, I know. So let's have a very positive, this better be a positive question. Is it? Okay, I take your word for it. Fire away.
Welcome to the home of Gene Kelly. And what is your favorite movie that you were in and a favorite movie that you were not in?
Well, I have to say Singing in the Rain. But to be honest with you, almost every MGM musical, and then getting a chance to work in film and choreograph musicals was tremendous excitement for me. I think in the past, a year and a half ago, I believe, I did I don't know if any of you know the Impractical Jokers. I got to work with them. It was probably the most fun I've ever had because they kept me laughing the entire time. And I have a weak bladder, so you can just put 2 and 2 together. Thank you. Thank you for welcoming me so beautifully.
And thank you so much for doing this. This means so much to us. Give it up for Paula Abdul. Great. Oh, much better than that. You can do better than that.
Thank you very much.
Fabulous. Thank you so much. One more time, Paula Abdul.
Hi, this is Aaron Ashmore, and you are watching Fandom Spotlight. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe like now. Oh, and have fun and follow your fandom.